The Yatton Demoniac, George Lukins, and the 7 devils for 18 years. 7 entities spoke through him, until 7 ministers finally answered his plea for deliverance. Long before the age of modern psychology, before the language of trauma and dissociation entered common understanding, a tailor in the village of Yatton knew exactly what afflicted him. George Lukins did not speculate. He did not wonder. During his moments of clarity, between episodes that transformed him into someone unrecognizable, he stated his condition with precision that would haunt everyone who heard it. 7 devils inhabited him. 7 ministers would be required to set him free. Nothing else would work. For nearly 2 decades, this declaration hung over his life like a curse awaiting its resolution. The nightmare begins in 1769, during what should have been an evening of simple entertainment. George Lukins participates in a Christmas performance in his village. The details of what transpires during that event remain unclear, but something changes, something enters. When the performance ends, Lukins returns home, but not entirely. Part of him remains elsewhere, or something else has come back with him. Within days, the episodes begin. They arrive without warning. Lukins falls into fits that bear no resemblance to epilepsy or any recognized medical condition of the era. He barks like an animal, he howls. His voice changes completely, adopting tones and inflections that do not belong to him. He sings hymns backward, the sacred words reversed in a manner that chills everyone who hears it. How does an 18th century tailor with no musical training sing complex hymns in perfect reverse? The question has no answer that satisfies the physicians who examine him. During the episodes, multiple voices speak through him. Each possesses distinct characteristics. Each identifies itself. Witnesses describe conversations with entities that claim to inhabit Lukins, speaking through his mouth, but expressing personalities entirely separate from the mild-mannered craftsman they know. The voices blaspheme, they mock, they reveal knowledge Lukins himself does not possess. Between episodes, when Lukins returns to himself, he remembers fragments. He knows what has been said through him. The knowledge torments him. The medical community of Somerset tries everything available in 1770s Britain. Physicians bleed him. They administer tonics and sedatives. They observe him during episodes and document behaviors that fit no known pattern of illness. Nothing helps. The episodes continue, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, always devastating. Lukins loses the ability to work consistently. His reputation in Yatton shifts from respected tradesman to object of fear and pity. Neighbors avoid him. Some whisper that he invited this condition through sin. Others wonder if madness runs in his family. Lukins himself knows better. During his lucid periods, he explains his condition with unsettling clarity. 7 devils entered him during that Christmas entertainment. He feels them. He hears them when they are quiet. He knows their number with certainty, and he knows the cure. 7 clergymen acting together in faith, performing exorcism, not 6, not 8, 7. The precision of this requirement puzzles everyone who hears it. How does a village tailor arrive at such specific theological instruction? Lukins cannot explain the source of this knowledge, only that he knows it to be true. Years pass. The episodes worsen. By 1778, George Lukins has endured 18 years of intermittent possession. His health deteriorates. His ability to maintain himself diminishes. He survives on charity from villagers who pity him despite their fear. He continues to seek help, traveling when able to consult anyone who might offer relief. Word of his case spreads beyond Yatton, reaching Bristol, where Reverend Joseph Easterbrook hears the account with interest and concern. Easterbrook, vicar of Temple Church in Bristol, belongs to the Methodist tradition that takes seriously the reality of spiritual warfare. He interviews Lukins personally. He observes an episode. What he witnesses convinces him that medical explanations fail to account for the phenomena. The backward singing alone defies natural explanation. The multiple distinct personalities, each claiming separate identity, suggest something beyond mental illness as understood in the 18th century. Most compelling is Lukins himself during lucidity, calmly explaining what inhabits him and what must be done. Easterbrook makes a decision. He will assemble the 7 ministers Lukins claims are necessary. Finding 6 additional clergymen willing to participate in a formal exorcism proves challenging. Many in the Church of England view such practices with suspicion, associating them with Catholic superstition. But Easterbrook finds his 6 among Methodist ministers who share his theological framework. They agree to gather at Temple Church in Bristol on June 13, 1778. Word spreads. A congregation assembles to witness what will happen. George Lukins arrives at Temple Church in the grip of the entities that have tormented him for 18 years. The 7 ministers position themselves around him. Witnesses fill the pews, some believing, some skeptical, all curious. Reverend Easterbrook begins the ritual. He prays. He commands the first entity to identify itself and depart in the name of God. What follows shakes everyone present. The voice that responds through Lukins does not sound like him. It mocks the ministers. It resists. The Reverend persists, joined by the other 6 clergymen in prayer and command. Slowly, after sustained effort, the first entity appears to respond. Lukins convulses, cries out, then grows quiet. The ministers move to the second entity. The process repeats. Each of the 7 presences within Lukins requires separate confrontation, separate command, separate expulsion. The exorcism lasts hours. Lukins barks and howls. He sings in that impossible backward manner. He speaks in voices that are not his own. The distinct personalities emerge one by one as they are called forth, each resisting, each eventually yielding to the combined spiritual authority of the 7 ministers. Witnesses describe the atmosphere in Temple Church as oppressive, the air itself feeling heavy. Some report physical sensations of cold. Others speak of an overwhelming sense of presence, as though the room contains far more beings than the visible congregation. As the 7th and final entity is commanded to depart, George Lukins undergoes a transformation that everyone present recognizes as fundamental. The tension leaves his body. His face changes. The wildness in his eyes disappears. When he speaks, his voice carries a tone witnesses have not heard from him in years. He praises God. He thanks the ministers. He weeps with relief. The man who entered Temple Church inhabited by forces beyond his control leaves it, for the first time in 18 years, entirely himself. The recovery is immediate and complete. George Lukins returns to his normal life. The episodes cease entirely. He experiences no relapse. Those who knew him before the possession recognize the return of the person they remember. The transformation is so dramatic, so total, that even skeptics struggle to dismiss it as coincidence or spontaneous remission. Reverend Easterbrook and the 6 ministers who participated document their account carefully. The pamphlet they publish circulates throughout England, sparking debate in religious and medical communities. Skeptics propose natural explanations. Perhaps Lukins suffered from a complex psychological condition that resolved through the ritual's psychological impact. Perhaps the episodes were elaborate performance, though witnesses who knew him find this impossible to believe. Perhaps spontaneous recovery coincided with the exorcism through pure chance. Believers point to details that resist easy dismissal. The precision of Lukins' self-diagnosis during lucidity stands out. How does an uneducated tailor specify exactly how many ministers are required for his cure? How does he sing complex hymns backward without training or practice? How do multiple distinct personalities, each claiming separate demonic identity, manifest through a simple craftsman with no history of such behavior before the Christmas entertainment of 1769? The number 7 itself carries theological significance that makes the case particularly intriguing. 7 demons are mentioned in biblical accounts of possession. 7 ministers gathered for the exorcism. The symmetry seems too precise for coincidence, yet Lukins articulated this requirement years before the exorcism occurred. He predicted the exact nature of his cure and specified the exact number of participants necessary. When that precise intervention was finally attempted, it worked completely. 2.5 centuries later, the case of George Lukins remains one of the most carefully documented possession cases in British history. The public nature of the exorcism, conducted before witnesses in a church, provides a level of verification rare in paranormal accounts. The published documentation by respected clergymen adds credibility. The complete and permanent recovery following the intervention suggests something genuinely transformative occurred in Temple Church that day in 1778. Modern psychology might diagnose dissociative identity disorder or another condition affecting consciousness and personality. Yet this framework struggles to explain elements of the case that witnesses found most compelling. The backward singing defies ready explanation. The knowledge displayed during episodes, information Lukins demonstrably did not possess during normal consciousness, suggests sources beyond his own mind. Most significantly, his accurate prediction of the cure, including the specific number of ministers required, represents a detail that continues to puzzle researchers who examine the case. George Lukins lived the remainder of his life free from the entities that had tormented him for 18 years. The 7 devils that spoke through him fell silent. The 7 ministers who gathered to confront them documented their account for history. The case entered the literature of possession and exorcism, studied by believers and skeptics alike, never fully explained, never entirely dismissed. In the village of Yatton and the city of Bristol, the story passed into local legend, a reminder that some afflictions resist every solution except the one the afflicted person names from the beginning. If you found this case compelling, subscribe to Vanishing Roads for more documented paranormal investigations from around the world. This story was created with AI assistance based on documented case files. All events reference real investigations and reported incidents.